Hello there and welcome to this presentation from St Peter's 13 to 18 Design and Technology Department, which helps to explain what our A-level can offer you. So you might recognise this man. I'm going to let him start us off.
Well, design and technology is a very important subject, and it sits alongside mathematics and physics and chemistry. Really, it's the process of using engineering to produce products. And in the grand scheme of things, in economy, it's extremely important. It's very important to have scientists, very important to have mathematicians, but you need people who can use science and maths and engineering to turn an idea into a reality.
So what you can also see there, wise words from Sir James Dyson there, is our STPDTT Twitter account. So we have a lot of activities that could support you alongside your A-level, Makerspace being one of them. If you want to ever see what we get up to, make a point of checking us out at STPDTD. Okay, so you'll be very familiar with St Peter's, one of the world's fourth oldest schools, and we have quite a tradition for Arkwright scholars, for Formula One in schools, many competitions, for doing incredibly well in this subject. And with that in mind, I want to show you the fantastic facilities that we've got here in order to help you succeed. So you'll recognise the Makepeace studio, which is incredibly well equipped. And we've got our CAD facilities in the Foster studio. We've got two CAD facilities. We've got our smaller Beck studio, and we have got our Ive studio, which again has all the software that you used to use in Fusion 360, Aspire for our CNC router, maybe 2D Design or Corel Draw for any elements of laser cutting. So lots and lots of different bits of software that you can get used to during your time with us. As I said, we've got all manner of equipment. We're incredibly well equipped in terms of we've got 3D printers, we've got CNC router, we've got traditional machinery that sits alongside CNC machinery. Just to give you a little bit of an overview of the course, so there are two exams involved at A-level. There's a paper 1 and a paper 2. So one of the exams is 2.5 hours, the other exam is 1.5 hours. How we teach that is we are split between theory sessions and practical sessions, coursework sessions. So what happens is in the lower 6, you tend to have 4 theory and 4 practical to make sure that you get quite a lot of the content in that first year. And then with the upper 6, you have 3 lots of theory and 5 lots of practical to help you with your NEA folder. So in terms of an overview of the actual course, we're starting in lower 6 with a project that involves Clifton, now St Peter's 3 to 8. So a lot of students are looking at using CNC and a variety of techniques. You'll have the theory, which will be a constant thread throughout the course. Now, obviously, COVID has limited us in terms of visits, but the plan is that you would visit somewhere like Allied Glass, where you can see the processes firsthand, see the health and safety practices that go on, spend time going into their laboratories, look at the raw materials, look at the finished product, and really get an idea of how D&T can be brought to life in industry. And the second project is a series of small skills projects, just to make sure that you feel confident in the lead up to what will be your A-level context. Now you will start this on return in Easter. Your A-level context is entirely down to you. So unlike GCSE, where you were given 3 themes, you have got to come up with a problem. You have got to come up with a client and ultimately guide all of those to a solution. Now what happens is you tend to have 4 ideas that we throw about, and then we work out which one's got the most potential. And we always try and gear this to what your interests are. Obviously, a year is a long time to spend working on one project, and it's really, really important that you're enthused and you're engaged and you really enjoy it, especially if we can help link that to what you go on to do after A-level. So as I said, the actual setup of the assessment objectives might be very similar to what you've seen at GCSE. You've still got to identify and investigate, but as I said, you're coming up with the brief yourself. You've got design work and a specification, which specification being that consistent thread throughout your portfolio. You've got a development of designs, looking at modelling skills, looking at testing processes. Then you've got your development of your final prototype, so you're making and can you observe health and safety, can you observe quality assurance, quality control, Analysing and evaluation then, you will be testing your product throughout, testing your ideas by speaking to your client, testing it out with models, testing out processes. Testing occurs throughout the entire process. It's very much an iterative process where you design, you prototype, test, and you go round in that cycle to generate the best results. But what you must also consider is how your product could be commercially viable on a mass scale. So that's one of the key differences, is when you start thinking about how this project could go further. Moving on to your exams then, you've got 80 marks for your 1.5 hour paper and then 120 marks for your 2.5 hour paper. You do have short answers, so even multiple choice. You do have extended response questions, which are more your essay style. There are applied maths questions where you look at a particular scenario. It could be working out the height of a director's chair and the slope of the slant, so getting a little bit of trigonometry in there. And then the next one you've got is commercial manufacturing, and a lot of science elements are brought into that part of the paper. Now, as far as projects go, I've given you some fantastic examples, but it really is down to you and what you bring and what you're interested in. We very much want to work with your interests, but equally we want you to be proud of what you ultimately achieve. So these are two fantastic examples. Jordan went on to study architecture, you'll hear from him later. Georgina went on to study mechanical engineering at Loughborough. So rather than me just tell you what the course is like, I really think the biggest selling point is how students enjoy it. So I'm going to let them do the talking.
Always sort of taking stuff from sketches, ideas, and then bringing it up and being, that's my idea, that's how I want to build it, that's how long it's going to take. And TT taught me a lot of that sort of stuff, especially when using stuff like SolidWorks, which you guys use. I use as a day-to-day basis now, AutoCAD, and stuff like that. So yeah, very, very helpful. And yeah, if anyone, any of you guys sort of are looking at DT as a potential option, you want to go into engineering or just any sort of design, I highly recommend it.
This is Georgina Edwards.
A-level product design is heavily related to my studying through the similarities of being able to combine your coursework to your passions and strengths, and use this to understand and apply the theory knowledge much better. It's a great way to apply the theory to practical designs, which you then get lots of choice and decisions over. Studying at St Peter's has provided me with a very practical learning technique, being willing to find out new things and progress myself as much as possible.
And this is Jordan, whose work you saw earlier.
As architects, the career and the roles are very creative, and we are very, very good at communicating. We have technical skills, and we are very good at problem solving. And I learned all these foundations at St Peter's. It was an absolutely fantastic course. So product design, you learn the basics and the foundations of design, but then you can use them as a career in design.
What I love about this one is next summer, Jordan is going on to help rebuild a school that was wiped out by a hurricane, and so many possibilities have arisen from how he's continued his route of study. And the last student we'll hear from is Xanthe.
I've been lucky enough to be involved in many different types of projects by studying design at St Peter's and also at university. So, for example, I recently developed a campaign for a potential client who was releasing a new product. The great thing about studying design at any point in your career is that you can learn about all the different areas of the process and discover which parts you find the most interesting.
Okay, so hopefully they've helped sell it to you, but just the final thing is that D&T provides all manner of employability skills. There is a UK STEM skills shortage. There are lots of careers that this course will open up to you. And if you look at the advice for future jobs for 2025 from the World Economic Forum, technology design and programming are some of the key skills that are in demand, as is problem solving, as is showing innovation and taking initiative. And that's something that this subject will definitely make you do. Thank you ever so much for your time and good luck with your options.